He was so good that they named him twice. In the running for being Africa's greatest ever player and one of the original streets will never forget. Hello and welcome to the 19th ever episode of the Unsigned Manager podcast. My name is Siji Kolawole, and each week I look at football's biggest headlines, stories and events from both the past and the present to really break down and see what was happening. Now when you go on the internet, there are loads of players that people say that the streets will never forget. Basically, all you need to do to qualify is play on an obscure or foreign team and be skillful and the streets won't forget you. 100% in 10 years time, Alain Saint-Maximin will be posted all over Instagram pages as a streets will never forget legend at Newcastle. Now don't get me wrong, Saint-Maximin is a brilliant football entertainer, but when I mean the streets will never forget you, I mean that there are things that you've done in the game that changed the way the game was played. Like you were an originator, a one-of-one in your time. Adel Taarabt felt like a one-on-one, and he completely raised the stock of a club like QPR through the Championship into the Prem. Dimitri Payet looked like his ability was from a different planet when he was on a mad one at West Ham. And like Yaya Touré's ridiculous 20 goals, 9 assists season, that's a streets will never forget, because that was something else. We never saw that before. But one of the originators of that style, an innovator, an entertainer, he was so good that they named him twice. On this week's episode, I want to take a look at Nigerian legend JJ Okocha. I don't think for my generation, many people have seen Okocha play. I think he might be a streets will never forget for the years before us. But for my age, he's a name that most people know of, but they couldn't really tell you much about. If you go do your research, talk to those older than you, you'll learn, you'll hear about a special player. A man who could have played anywhere he wanted, punched his own ticket in the game, but decided to stay in the northeast of England and fight relegation. JJ Okocha was an originator, the idea of a flary, skillful number 10 who could make chances and get the crowd off their seat with a creative move. That's him. As a Nigerian myself, it's in your contract to know about 3 footballing things. The Olympic team of 96, where to buy a Super Eagles kit, and how good Okocha was as a player. Alright, so born as Augustino Zuko Okocha, JJ was born in Enugu State in Nigeria. The only reason he's named JJ is because his older brother James gave it to him because he kept copying him and wanting to play football. He grew up in a similar way to most players at the time, playing on the street with something, anything round, using sticks as goalposts and just having fun. And for a lot of the players that I've researched lately, Cruyff, Seedorf, Drogba, episode coming soon, they've all got similar stories. They didn't come from lots of money, but that's not important. All that matters is the love of the game. All you want is to keep playing, keep doing what you enjoy. And shout out to everyone still playing today, whether you're in the Prem, whether you're in the park. It's the love of the game that keeps us all going. Shout out to you guys. Anyway, Okocha was just like most kids, playing with his friends, honing his skills, looking for opportunity. At 17, he joined his local professional club, the Enugu Rangers. He started doing what would later become regular for him, spectacular stuff. He was putting in good performances, and in one game, when he went through one-on-one, he went round the Nigerian international goalkeeper, finished it, which is a big statement for a teenager. In England, in Europe, players come through academies. As a teenager, the aim is to put yourself in front of a scout, show your skills and hopefully get picked up by a major club. It's a well-trodden path, and with big-name youngsters like Bukayo Saka and Mason Greenwood today, they've been in the top 1% of football academies since they could walk. If you're a big talented player now, you're well known. People have known about you as academy since X amount of years. For example, Charlie Patino at Arsenal, everyone's been screaming about this guy for years, but that wasn't Okocha's case. He took a different path. It's 1990. Germany have just won their 3rd World Cup and the nation's going football mad. And to get involved in the act, JJ decided to go and visit his friend who was playing in the German 3rd division, so just go and watch and understand the level. And one day he decided to join his friend for training at Borussia Neunkirchen. He must have absolutely ripped it, in that morning training session because he was invited back the next day and offered a contract. Imagine being the level of a teenager who could go and get a pro contract at a professional team after one training session. In a year, he jumped from Division 3 in Germany to Division 2 before signing for Bundesliga team Eintracht Frankfurt. So in case you missed that, a teenager went on holiday to Germany, and in 2 years he went from a tourist to a Bundesliga pro. And the levels continued. The 20-year-old Okocha is now in the Bundesliga, linking up with Leeds highlight reel to be Tony Yeboah. In 4 years at the club, Okocha developed his skills as an attacking midfielder or a wide man. And in 1993, he really announced himself on the big stage. Okay, so if you don't know who Oliver Kahn is, what you need to know is Kahn is one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time by any metric. And he finished third in the Ballon d'Or in an era with R9, Zinedine Zidane, David Beckham, Luis Figo, all those guys as a goalkeeper. He's in the FIFA 100. He won the Golden Ball at the World Cup, which is the first keeper to ever do that. Oliver Kahn is big levels as a goalkeeper. So in a game against Kahn's team in the Bundesliga, Okocha scored one of the all-time compilation goals. Essentially, it's a 3v2 counter. Ball gets played out to Okocha and he's almost overdone it. Then he starts fake shotting for fun while Kahn is spinning around like a washing machine. He doesn't know where he's going. He's diving this way, he's diving that way, he's flying around. Defenders don't know what's happening. And in the end, Okocha just mercifully hammers it home with his left foot. Please go and watch it. This is how talented this guy was. His touch, his dribbling, his agility was different level. The closest compilation to a goal, the closest competition to a goal I've seen like this is Ibra's for Ajax, where he fake shots about 12 people. But imagine if that Ibra goal was against like prime Manuel Neuer. That's what Okocha did. It wouldn't end well in Germany for him. He and Tony Yeboah fell out with Jupp Heynckes, who'd be a legendary manager in the future. So in 95, Yeboah moved to England and Okocha was leaving Germany. After 4 seasons, 116 games, 25 goals, 18 assists, Okocha was on his way to Turkey, signing for big-name Istanbul club Fenerbahce. It's 1996, 3.5 million euros. Okocha's in Turkey. He made 76 appearances over 2 seasons and boy did he light up the league. 32 goals and 19 assists in 76 games. For some context, that's the same goal involvements per 90 that Jack Grealish just had in his best ever season at Aston Villa. At this point, Okocha is a free kick madman. Goal after goal after goal after goal. It's insane how consistent and how accurate he'd become from dead balls. I think there's something about free kick takers in football that just bring the fans a bit more joy. I think it's because the game stops and this whole big build up and tension, and 9 times out of 10 you see someone hammer it way too hard and it flies into the crowd, or they've underdone it and it just smacks into the wall and it's a bit anticlimactic. But when you see something go up and over the wall or rifle itself into the top corner, there's memories that burn in your head. I think that's I think that's why Ronaldo coming back to United is such a big deal, because everyone can just think of the Portsmouth game, or every time he took up the ball from 35 yards and smashed it, like, because the game slightly stops and then there's this moment of elation. But yeah, Okocha's doing that week after week. I'm going to try and link all the best highlights in the description so you can understand what this guy was doing. But 1 week top bins, next week side netting, next week bottom corner, phenomenal player. He played so well that he secured a big money move 2 years after arriving in Turkey. Paris Saint-Germain came in for the Nigerian and he became the most expensive African player of all time, costing the club £14 million at the time. It was about 25 mil today. At this point, JJ's about 24, 25. He's getting experience in different countries and he's putting in his work at attacking midfield. And if you haven't seen him play, he's like a dribbly, creative attacking midfielder who's full of skills and tricks to make chances for him and other players. For some strange reason, the best comparison I have for him is like a watered down Neymar. I don't know if that's overdoing it. That might be slightly overdoing it. But no, actually, yeah, watered down Neymar. Maybe Coutinho at Liverpool. If Coutinho was a bit more dribbly, something like that. Like a player who you're constantly giving the ball to him, talisman. He might be the link to get the ball from your midfield to your final third, or you give it to him in the final third to find your 9. That's what Okocha's doing. Proper baller. If you don't know, get to know. And if that didn't make him cool enough and everything he did in Paris got forgotten, this guy was young Ronaldhino's mentor. In terms of entertainment, Ronaldinho's on the sideline watching this guy do stuff and thinking, oh, I want to get some of that. That's how good JJ Okocha was, I'm telling you. In terms of structure and defensive sets and all that stuff, yeah, it might not have been the most effective, but pure entertainment. Okocha and Ronaldinho are here for a good time. He is like, no, the best description for Okocha is if Paul Pogba was playing on bad teams. Imagine if Pogba had the free run to do literally whatever he wanted. He could just play his natural game. That's what Okocha looks like. There was times where he was playing on the wing and he'd have this drag step over role that he used to use constantly to rip fullbacks. If you know what I'm talking about, imagine he has the ball on his right foot on the left wing. He'll drag it towards his left and double step over with his left leg. Send his hips one way, send his legs the other way. Defenders in the shadow realm. And he get to the byline and clip it. It's filthy. And one of those moves that he would use constantly, but it doesn't matter because even if you knew it was coming, you can't really stop it. And he was so agile that if he needed to go the other way, he could do it. Guy's a baller. He wasn't as prolific in Paris as he was in Istanbul, but maybe 3/4 of the goals he scored in France were screamers. I mean, real screamers. So how many players can you say that for? Alright, so let's take a quick international break. JJ Okocha is one of Africa's greatest ever players, if not definitely Nigeria's, and he made his Nigeria debut in '94 at 21, and in his second game he became an instant fan favourite. Nigeria were losing 1-0 against Algeria, needing a goal, and bang, JJ rifles another free kick into the top corner to bring the game back level, as the Eagles then go on to win 4-1, securing qualification to their first ever World Cup. Also in '94, he's part of the African Cup of Nations winning side and the World Cup side who made it to the second round. Then in '96, he's a key, integral member for the Olympic gold medal winning Nigeria team, the Dream Team, Sunday Elise, Celestine Babayaro, Nwankwo Kanu, JJ Okocha. This is a mad team, to be fair. Nigeria beat Mexico, Brazil and Argentina on their way to gold, which has become folklore and will never be forgotten in Nigeria. The Brazil team, by the way, it's not like they sent out some weak team. This had many of the players from the '94 World Cup winning team, as well as R9. So, Nigeria did their job there. Moving forward, after the 2002 World Cup, where Nigeria didn't make it out of the group, Okocha's contract at PSG had expired. Now, think about the player I've described so far. An uber creative, skillful, dribbly attacking midfield player who's prone to moments of extreme flair. What kind of clubs does it sound like he should sign for? I think Manchester United, Liverpool, maybe even old school Newcastle. That'd be a good shout. No? Okay. Let's try and think about this type of managers who'd want him. Arsene Wenger could fit in pretty well. Claudio Ranieri, he doesn't mind a bit of an attacking player. Kevin Keegan would have killed for him and Tino Asprilla to be in the same squad. But in life, sometimes opposites attract. And of all the clubs and all the managers that could have signed Okocha, Bolton Wanderers and Sam Allardyce were the ones to bring him to England. Trust me, I know. Bolton haven't been in the Prem for about a decade at this point. So if you're a younger football fan, you probably don't really know about them. The team Okocha was joining was a mismatch of players that is so weird. JJ Okocha and Yuri Djorkaeff are on the same pitch as Colin Hendry, managed by Big Sam. It's all a bit wild. They were a proper, stereotypical English club. Like, northeast, long ball, very physical, will stick it on you. Burnley go to sleep with pictures of Bolton on their walls. But by the 02-03 season, they were adding more international players, more exciting players, and trying to bring in more talent to support the relegation battle. Now, just to be clear, I like to win. And I like players who win games, or at least contribute to winning. And at the end of the day, football is a sport, and the aim of the game is to win. So it isn't great that Okocha lost more Premier League games than he won. Only by one, but it's still a losing record. It probably also isn't great that he contributed to 21 goals in 144 games in 4 years at Bolton. That's actually that's not great at all. If you're a statistician or are purely a numbers guy, then a JJ is not the player for you. But sometimes football isn't about that. I was actually talking to someone about this week, about stats being more important now than vibes are. But sometimes you just want vibes. And if you want vibes, if you're an eye test person, JJ Okocha is the guy for you. Some of the stuff this guy was doing in Premier League games is outrageous. In his first season at the club, he's slightly affected by injury. He scored 7 times, so not bad, not great, but he's scoring goals that were giving the club hope of staying up. At the time, Bolton are like slightly on the edge of, will they go down, won't they go down? Okocha comes in, he's scoring goals to save them, and in the last game of the season, he literally scores the goal to save them, to keep them up that year against Middlesbrough. Now check this, Bolton have gone from fighting relegation in his first season to pulling themselves up the table, finishing 8th and 6th over the next 2 seasons. Bolton were playing European football. Bolton. The stuff this guy was doing was mind-boggling. Every goal of the season, he took that. There's a game against Aston Villa in the League Cup semi-final. Yes, Bolton, League Cup semi-final. Okocha's taking the armband in the 03-04 season as the last captain they had, Gioni Bergerson, had left the club. And Captain Okocha sounds good. Anyway, semi-final against Villa, chance to get into a cup final for the first time in forever. And he goes back to the Fenerbahce version of himself, scoring 2 free kicks in the same game to send Bolton to the final. Now, one of them is a standard up and over the wall free kick, which always looks good, but like, you see them, so it's not crazy. The technique is good and it looks great, but you're not jumping out of the bed for that. But the second one is one of the best free kicks I have ever seen, and this will definitely be in the bottom. But let me just describe it to you. It's from a wide angle. It's at the corner of the box, at the tip of the box. So you think to yourself, oh, from that kind of an angle, you should deliver it. Bolton have sent up their strikers, their centre-backs, and their defensive midfield players. They want big guys in the box because they think it's going to get crossed in. Now, you can't see Okocha in the frame. So all you see is Yuri Djorkaeff on the left-hand side looking like he's going to deliver it. And then at some point, Okocha comes running through the screen, power slams it with the outside of his right boot, right into the near post top corner. It's a disgusting finish. I can't believe, I don't know that many players could do that now. Like if Kevin De Bruyne did that now, we would all go mad on the internet. On the left-hand side, outside of his right boot, power slams it into the left side top corner is nasty. Bolton going to win the 2-legged tie, I think 5-2, but that goal right there, that ended the tie. The tie was over. Thomas Sorensen has literally no chance of saving it. They end up losing the cup final to Middlesbrough, which is ironic because they beat Middlesbrough to stay up and then they lost the year after. But they were playing in European football, getting to cup finals. This shows how influential this guy. Before this, Bolton were on the verge of getting relegated. Now they're looking like they're knocking on the door. In the end, he moved on from Bolton after 4 successful seasons at the club. It seems like there was an issue with him within the club. He says that he felt the energy changed towards him and he was stripped of the captaincy and he knew his writing was on the wall. So when other clubs started coming in for him, he knew he had to start taking them seriously because he was on his way out. He went to Qatar, and then after Qatar went to Hull before he retired. So it was a bit dicey there. The end of it wasn't great, but easily the most recognisable time in his career is under Big Sam at Bolton. What madness. There's constant highlights of this guy in the Premier League, and you have to go and see them. He is rainbow flipping Lee Dixon in the corner against Arsenal. He's beating 7 people on the run before powering it into the top corner. He's taking free kick after free kick after free kick. He's flicking the ball over this guy's head, rolling the ball through that guy's leg. He's like Adel Taarabt 1.0. This is what Pogba would do if Pogba was playing on a bad team. Like, Okocha's just running around having a good time. He's here for the vibes. He's here we don't get players like that. Unsurprising, he won a load of Nigeria Player of the Years and Goal of the Season, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is the feeling players that can give you. They give you a feeling that you want to go outside and try it. You want to go to the park and do that in a game. You want to go on a crazy skill run. You want to take free kicks with the outside of your boot, for goodness sake. Most players don't get to have a player like that at their club. Like, I'd say for Arsenal in recent years, the best version we had of that would be like Santi Cazorla, where you'd watch Cazorla and you'd think, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could think about like that. Or for Chelsea, your best one probably would be Eden Hazard. Like, Hazard's doing things in games that people just can't really think of. That's what Okocha's doing, but he's doing that in an era where no one was doing that. So he's here having a good time while no one else is thinking like that. That's a player that the street should never forget. That's someone who innovated and changed the game and brought in things that we see in today's football. When you have a player like that, they have to be cherished. They should be so. Long live JJ Okocha. And that's it for today's episode. Long live JJ Okocha. Really appreciate you guys for all the support, all the sharing, all the advice, all that stuff for the podcast so far. This is episode 19, so 19 straight weeks you guys have been supporting. I really appreciate it. Please follow all the socials. The YouTube page will have all the podcasts available there. The Instagram, where I tell you about the new episodes. The Twitter, where you can see me run around and scream about football a lot. I really appreciate it. Next few episodes will be really good. I've got them planned out, so please stay tuned and keep supporting. See you guys next week. Peace.